Just got back from the steel yard. I went ahead, I bought two 4x8 sheets of 18 gauge sheet metal, and I bought just some 1/2 inch square tubing. Mainly I just was going to use like the square tubing to like hold up the core support. That way I can I'm going to get it in place, because right now I got the car sitting perfectly level. I've measured multiple places and I'm about a 1/2 inch off on the right side, so I'm going to get the front end level left to right, and then come in here and stick a couple braces to hold this, and I'm going to come back and cut all of this out of there and do like a piece of 2x3 like you know, rectangular tubing through here to connect the front, and then I'm going to come back and sheet metal this in. That'll be more or less like permanent, and I'll probably, yeah, at some point, and I don't know if I'll use round tube it or what, but I'll come back from inside here, the structure that I cut, and connect it to the front core support. For the most part, like, you know, I may make it removable, but like I don't think that's not really like my goal, because if I'm pulling a motor out of one of these, I'm dropping it from the bottom anyway, so I just don't see much use in doing that. And for like the sake of keeping everything kind of you know, like structural, which, yeah, I mean, you can make a tube front, you know, that unbolts and bolts in, that's probably, you know, probably just as good, but at the end of the day, like, that's just less bracketry and all that I have to make too. Because once this is together, like, hopefully everything's all good and it doesn't have to come apart for a long time. So I'm gonna start on that. Another thing is I got another motor down here I gotta take apart. So I have a table that I got for free, but like they used it for a frame machine for wheels to sit on, and there's a big hole in the center, so it's I was gonna also use a piece of sheet metal to finish that, so I'll have another table up in my attached garage to stick a motor on for the moment, because I'm like more than packed in the shop down here. Okay, so I went ahead and added some bracing in here to the core support, and it's a whole lot, it's super sturdy. So what I'm about to do is cut along this line, and then use a piece of 2x3 square tubing to box in the frame rails, and then I'll use sheet metal to connect the core support back to that. And then from there, I believe what I'm gonna do is drill a cowl out of the parts car up there, and come back and see how much of the lower cowl I can fit in here, because most people, besides one guy, leave this part and the body sits higher. So since I removed that, I'm kind of wondering if I have room to fit the lower cowl, which if I do, that'll kind of simplify and ease up my, because like fitting the upper cowl, making it fit level and all that is kind of like something I'm dreading. So if I can get the lower cowl to fit, that'll add some more structure to the windshield area there, and also it'll help as far as getting the upper cowl to fit. So I'm going to go ahead and I may not even add the 2x3 piece of square tubing yet. I may just go ahead and get to work on that cowl, because I think it's going to take me a minute. That's kind of the plan for now, and it's coming along. It's looking really nice. It's going to look super OEM right here in the front at least. And I'll come back and plate the end of the frame rail more or less, and then probably even add some bolt holes, like nuts or something, or nut certs, or weld nuts on the back of the plate, so I can come back later and add like a tubular bumper / bash bar type thing. Set you guys up on the tripod, and we'll get started on that stuff.
I'm changing who I am. I'm making a new plan, rearranging.
So what I've done is I measured basically the distance between the two frame rails, which they're like 3 1/4 or a little bit more, so this wasn't quite as wide. So basically I've notched it, and it is offset I think just a tiny bit to that side. And so what I'm gonna do is basically try and replicate that. I can replicate it, just hopefully I get it centered enough, which I did mark center line. So what I'm about to do is come back here and mark center line, and then basically I just used this little gauge here. I'll come back, trace that along center line, and I had it centered on the number 6. And as long as I make sure the cut's offset, it should be fine. I don't think it really matters which way I sit on the frame rail. So that's what I'm about to do, is go ahead and do that. I got to get one more measurement to see my distance left to right. And I mean, worst case, if it's not 100% level, because the chassis is level, I'll come back and kind of grind off on what side it is. That side that I've already done actually fit really nice, super tight. And as long as I can replicate that, this piece will be perfect. I'll get it, you know, tacked in real well. Then I'll lift the car up and go ahead and weld it in, honestly. And I'm probably not gonna worry about coming back and adding sheet metal to it just yet. But this will be the piece that I tie the core support into. And I don't know if I'm gonna have time to pull the cowl today. We go eat at my grandmother's on Monday, so this may be all I get done. But I mean, it's a pretty big step here. I say it's all a big step really to me, because now the core support's leveled. I'll have the front cross brace welded in, and then from there, I don't know. As I do stuff, it kind of makes sense to do, you know, what to do next. I'm going to go ahead and say that getting that cowl drill out of that car, because I'm not going to spend $450 for a cowl that may not fit all the way, and I got to cut anyway. So I'm just going to drill the one that's in that car out and see if I can get it to fit in here, kind of in this stop location. And if so, then I think that'll go ahead and give us all we need to get it, to make sure everything's lined up like 100%. I've been trying to think of a way to use the stock hood mounts, hood latches. Now, like, obviously you can use them, but I guess getting my measurements perfect to come in here and build some boxes, like, that's kind of the thing. I mean, I may attempt it, but worst case, you know, I got to use hood pins or something to sit it on there. We'll get to that, decide that down the road. I'm about to set you guys up on the stand so you can kind of see, I guess, my process here with this. I figured I'd spare y'all of the, I had to sit there and hand grind it a little bit to get it just to fit, because I cut it slightly too big, which is better than too small. I get too short. But I mean, it's got a close fit up, well, if you can see, like up top. I got a slight gap here, but some of that's where I kind of had to, you know, grind it by hand. It's good up under there. This is what it looks like. And I mean, it's fit in there super tight. Like, I mean, you can move the car up and down with that thing. I had to tap it in with a hammer, but I wanted it as tight as possible. Overall, I'd say I'm happy with that. And then, let's see. And I got, like, see, you got the level on the core support. Then you come down here. It's less, you know, slightly to the right, but I'm going to say that's probably user error just from hand grinding it, because literally everywhere else is dead on. So you come up here, and when I put this bar in, I made sure it was level, and I welded that in before I cut the car up, so it's perfectly level. Then you come in here to the floor, which I had better luck on the machine side. It's gonna probably be hard to see it, but yeah. Yeah, using the machine, because the magnet side's got a couple pieces of metal, so on the floor pan, it was kind of sitting a little bit. Earlier when I flipped it over to the machine side, it was perfect. So to me, this is about as level as you're gonna get it. I'm happy with everything I've seen so far. I don't know if I'm gonna remove the body again. I mean, realistically, this top side, it's going to have to be, whatever kind of coating you put on it is going to have to be cleaned off to weld anyway. So I can spray, and there's a slight gap, I can spray the whole rocker from up underneath, because I hadn't closed it in yet. So I think I've opted to go that route just because everything is sitting so good. Two, I can kind of come back in the back and box that rocker in with a piece of sheet metal, slide it in from the top, and weld it around the edges, so I'm not too concerned with it. Like, I've seen people who, and I don't know, I think because they're buying like outer skins, their rockers are already open, so they're leaving them open and then coming back adding sheet metal. I don't see much point in drilling out the inner rocker, which on this car was structurally fine, just to come back and put sheet metal in there. It's more work, whereas I could just leave what I have and not have to sheet metal it. The bottom, I will sheet metal from the rocker down to the lower rocker. That'll be fine. I'm just trying to think. So tomorrow, I'm going to get the cowl out of that car and see if I can get it to fit in here. Like the front end, it's pretty damn well done. Not done, but I mean everything's coming together. It's I got the core support in, it's leveled. I got the frame support, so I'd say I don't know if I'm going to weld that frame support in yet. It'd probably be safe to, so I may do it. Because if I did that, then I could come back and go ahead and sheet metal the core support into it, and that would kind of make that a lot more structural for now versus just these two pieces of 1/2-inch tubing holding it. And then from there, I'd say once I get the cowl set, if the lower cowl fits, it'll be I need to order a hood latch, and it'll be getting the hood in and kind of get it aligned. And I mean, for the most part, most of the body panels will be pretty well done as far as, I mean, everything else that needs, you know, adjusted on them could be adjusted with what you have. So I'll probably get a parts list up pretty soon as far as I'm going to need new like fender bolts, and then the backside like clips where they bolt on, or I may do something else with that. I don't really know. There's really no reason not to just use the stock mounting points that I have. So yeah, tomorrow I'll update you guys on what I got going on. But the plan tomorrow is to get the cowl out and try and see if I can get it fit up. And we're getting close, hopefully I can get everything final welded in pretty soon and see about getting it painted. I'm going to go ahead and do that, finish getting all the wiring and stuff out and get it fully painted, and then come back and assemble it from there. So I'll update you guys tomorrow on what we have going on. All right, I'm in Kentucky. I just pulled up, coming to look at a 69 Mach 1 car. Just from looking at the post, it looks like it's had the rear tail light panel converted to like a 69 GT 500, and it's got like Cobra emblems on the what you call it, but we're about to go check it out. All right, we're headed back, and sorry, I mean, you know, that guy had a lot of cool stuff, but just with meeting random people, you know, I don't like to pull up video. And I did end up buying the car. It was a lot more expensive than the last one I bought, but that Fastback was just a standard Fastback. This is a legit, it's a Mach 1, it's not a Cobra Jet car. I guess that's an old, obviously the car's been sitting for a long time. So, you know, back in the day, someone just put a GT 500 tail light panel in it. It's from like the lower door down, it's definitely rusty, which, I mean, aren't they all? However, like all the roof structure and basically from, I don't know, a couple inches of the quarter up, it's all good. I'm headed back, about to come into Nashville. I'm gonna stop, get some lunch with one of my old friends. Back when I was racing a lot, he would kind of travel around with me and just trackside support, etc. Maybe one day we'll get back to that. I'll get home and kind of get a walk around and give you guys an update on this car. The plan with it is not to do some body swap. It's to hopefully use the body swap once it's done and sold to kind of catapult into this build, and it'll be like a full resto mod. I'd say like a resto with, you know, just a Coyote in it, possibly a custom chassis, but it won't be a body swap. I'll do this one justice because it is, you know, the more sought after code. It does have a title, and it is a Fastback. So talk to you guys later. I know I tried to get a little bit of video yesterday when I pulled up on this car, but I made a trip to Kentucky. It was like 5 hours, so I was on the road 11-12 hours yesterday to pick this 69 Fastback up. It's almost like it's a GT 500, like somebody was trying to make it a clone, I guess, because it's got the GT 500 tail light panel. It's got a really cool Cobra Jet gas cap, and I may actually like keep that, I don't know, or that, you know, it's in good shape, so maybe end result it gets left on the car. Here, let me flip the camera around. I kind of show you you guys the car. It's the floorboard's definitely rusty, but like it's actually like a pretty solid interior. Like the passenger door panel is pretty much perfect. The driver door panel's kind of, you know, come apart there. Now I don't know if it's worth fixing this type of stuff or just buying new, but I mean, it's got literally like all the panels in here, which is pretty cool. Rear seats, still got its FMX 3-speed transmission. Mach 1, all the dash like bezel stuff looks really good. Now I know that the wood grain stuff's kind of outdated, so I don't know if I'll kind of leave that original for the sake of the car or not. The console and stuff in the trunk. From here down is like gone, like the axle's sitting crooked because the leaf spring mount has kind of broke off the car. So, but at the end of the day, I'm not necessarily, it does have a, actually I really don't even know what engine this is. It had like a 351 from the factory. Guy that used to work for me, he's, you know, older guy, into these cars a lot. He said this doesn't look like a 351, so somebody may have stuck a 302 or I don't know, 289 in here. I really don't know. Maybe I'll look up some of those numbers in a bit. But it is a, you know, a clean title fastback shell. You can see there the axle's kind of, so this will be what's coming up next. I'm really not going to mess with it until I get the body swap done, because that is such a big, you know, intensive project. What I'm getting ready to do is, yesterday I just dropped the 69 parts car I bought off over here. I literally just tied it to like another Mustang chassis and just pulled it off my trailer because I had to leave here early to go get this. So I'm getting ready to kind of like move it, at least try to pull it over here to the shop, and so I can go ahead and get that cowl and stuff drilled out. Because to me, that's going to be like the next biggest thing, is getting the cowl and all kind of set in there right how it should be. And instead of cutting that one, I'm going to drill it, so it may even leave me enough on the edges to basically cover that little bit of a gap I had in the car from where I'd cut it out before. That's going to be my goal with that. And the only reason I'm doing this is try to avoid buying a $500 piece that I may not even be able to use, or it may just need to be cut up to the point I've already got the old cowl in here cut up. So I'd rather put in a little extra time and save myself the money for now. I talked to Summit today, so it'll probably be another 3 or 4 days before they give me my refund on the full quarters. Then I'm going to order patch panels for this car. But once I can get the cowl and all that set and the hood, from there it's really going to be focusing on getting the car welded in the chassis finally. And I talked to my buddy today about how long it'd be maybe before he could get it painted again, because I'm trying to have the car done by February. So yeah, without any more, let's get that car moved over here and get on drilling the spot weld. So that was a lot more work than I wanted it to be, mainly because I just pulled the car over there and then I had to push it over here. I should have just used my truck, but I got it part level so I can check the oil after that long trip I did yesterday, because that thing, it's got like 301,000 miles, so it leaks some oil. Need to get it fixed. I just keep putting it off. But anyway, long story short, I kind of got this set up right outside the shop, so because I know it's going to make a mess with this glass and, you know, getting into the cowl. So I'm getting ready to go ahead and get at least most of this cowl out. And it may, for my sake, after looking at it, it may just make more sense to come and just cut it down here, because I don't necessarily need the spot welded portion. I just mainly need the portion where like the cowl's gonna sit. I'm gonna come set a cowl on it and kind of check it out, and may just kind of draw lines and cut there and just make what's left fit that car. So, I'll set you up on like a time lapse and we'll get going.
Yeah, make all the demons quiet. Yeah, we were built to thrive. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night? Yeah, make all the demons.
So the main reason I moved this car over here was to kind of cut this cowl out, but after I kind of got the glass and all moved, this other side, it's just a little more gone than I kind of would have liked it to be. So I went and looked at the original cowl off the car, and it's in better shape. However, I'd cut it in half. There's no, like I said, there's no manual for doing this or whatever, so I kind of was looking see what other people did, and they were cutting it back here, and I went ahead and did that. Well, in hindsight, I wish I wouldn't have, just because I've come in and lowered this even more, so I actually can fit more of the original cowl. So I've looked, and I can buy a new one. It's pretty reasonable. Of course, it'd be like 4 days before it got here. So for now, what I'm going to do, and I may run it like this, I may not, I don't know. I mean, if I can make it work with what I have, I might as well. But what I'm about to do now is go ahead and more or less take the fenders off and get this cowl in here. Then come back and use the clamps and clamp it back together and put some tacks on it, and then get the over cowl and kind of make sure all my heights are right. Because what I'm more worried about is if I start welding stuff in here permanently, and then, you know, the back sitting higher than the front and the hood doesn't want to line up. I'm going to go ahead and start working on that. Then I'll kind of have everything mocked in and kind of know, okay, I'm good with where I'm at front to back. And so, real quick, these are the stock rocker covers for the S197. And I'm kind of thinking about running these on the car and actually making it where, well, you can't, where the provisions line up, come in and sheet metal this to where like it'll line up and bolt in like a stock rocker cover. The only issue with that is the rocker's a little bit too long on the 70. So I'm thinking with that, what I might do is come in and just cut about 1 inch out of it so it lines up, and then just reshape the wheel well line down to it. And I think that'll come out pretty nice. That'll solve the problem of the rockers too. And once the cowl's done and that's done, then it can kind of go on to start welding in and doing the finish work. So what I ended up doing is I've cut this part of the cowl out of the original car, what was left of it, and I ordered a new one for CJ Pony Parts, because the new one comes with all this, which is, you know, I cut it there, so it won't be a big deal. It'll kind of just lay in here, and instead of welding this back together here, it'll just get welded into the chassis. For now, I'm going to go ahead and get this one kind of tack welded together where I can go ahead and get it fit up how I want it, and then I know exactly how to cut my new one. And 2, I'm probably just going to order new mounts that go here. For now, I'm going to like tack these back on, because that'll be a good way for me to make sure my fenders are sitting right with the hood. So right now I'm going to work on getting that done, and then get the front end sitting back on here. And as long as everything lines up well, then I know as far as getting everything mocked up, I'm pretty well there. Next, I'll just start kind of working on these side rockers. And of course, I'll have to come back and finish all this, but at least then I have pretty much the locations of everything set.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, maybe you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed. Think you're something out of my nightmares, standing right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get bored of killing me?
Silhouettes of you are like a taunt. Never really know just what you want. With you I don't ever feel calm. I can feel the sweat inside my palms. Play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain it brings. You don't ever wanna give me wings. You don't ever wanna set me free. You know I'm addicted to you, and it's twisted, you've been gifted with the evil voodoo. Got me coming back for more, even when I've been screwed. Dolls full of pins, pierce my heart straight through. I got issues in my head, I like you in my bed, but you keep me on red. Oh, everything is like a test, I better not text or I'll come off desperate.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, maybe you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed. Think you're something out of my nightmares.
I ended up just kind of sticking the stock rocker cover on here. I don't know if I'm going to go this route, but it's definitely an option. It just needs a little bit of trimming to kind of, it would go ahead and fit up pretty well. Now it's kind of like, you know, in the back I just got it taped because I am hitting on some stuff. I was kind of thinking about removing this bottom lip anyways, and then kind of use some sheet metal and just use the same mounting holes as like a factory S197 use. So that's, you know, that's kind of an option. The only issue is like here is it doesn't quite go back, but you know, I could come up and remove that and then reshape the quarter to kind of come down in a better transition. So I really don't know yet. This is just a rough mock-up. In the front, I ended up getting the lower cowl put on, and for now I just kind of, this is the only, like everyone I bought so far is missing the front piece that holds the hood up, the hood latch. This came on the parts car, but it's obviously not usable. So, but it is bolted in and kind of has my hood sitting about where it would be. And for the most part, considering how temporary a lot of this is bolted in here, it all looks like it would work where I have it. The cowl may need just a tiny bit of adjustment. I did order a brand new cowl panel. So when it gets here, this just kind of told me or showed me that I'm going the right direction, I guess you could say. I'd say the next biggest hurdle to figure out is like the hood latches, not latches, but the hood hinges. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with those yet. Maybe bolt them on the hood and then kind of come up from the bottom and just have them like in their stock location and take some measurements and more or less build the mounts off the chassis that way. I guess another thing I could do is some style of like hood pin, but I mean, it'd definitely be nice to be able just to like raise the hood and not have to lift it off the car. So that's kind of like the next thing to figure out. Let's see, I'm gonna bring this down just a bit. So, I mean, you can kind of see the cowl's fitting pretty well, and that's just sitting in there as far as in the, the back and stuff, because I cut that out. So I've ordered a new under cowl panel, which it'll do away with where I've cut it, and it'll sit back in here. So I've got a good idea about where to get it sat. Pretty happy with how that looks. And if, worst case, you could shim it in places if you needed to. Now the hood again is just sitting on here, but everything's lining up pretty well. Now of course the hood's got room to move left and right, stuff like that. This side, it's just kind of sitting, but I mean, it's pretty well flush. I did just throw like a bent piece of trim on here just to kind of get an idea as well. So yeah, and then from the inside, this is what it looks like. The dash is gonna literally like just fit under this cowl, I believe. That's another thing I need to get. Windshield. So that'll probably be it for this video. I don't know. I mean, I know you guys have kind of seen it with the body panel sitting on it, but I do at least have the cowl in there somewhat how it's gonna be done. And now I kind of got this little rocker panel sitting on here. I think what I'm about to do is probably go get one of my 20-inch wheels and stick on here and see what it looks like. It should take up some of that wheel gap. I was going to throw those, I have a new cheap set of coilovers that I just had, but it's ended up missing the top adjustment piece, which these were like free. They came with a car I bought and sold. So I may just stick those springs in the back to see what it looks like kind of sitting lower. And again, that's not my main concern right now. My main concern is just making sure the body's going to be lined up and sitting right, so I can go ahead and start getting it mounted permanently. But yeah, thanks for checking the video out. Go ahead, if you'd like to subscribe to follow along, because this definitely, I'm going to go ahead and do obviously a full series on it. And then next will be that 69 Mach 1 that I just bought yesterday up there. So see you guys next time.